promised, here I am, behind the scenes with HFK Presents, on the road. It's the Blue Island Historical Society, and we're getting ready to celebrate the 4th of July. And here's how I showed up, just like myself. Polo shirt, some shorts, and in a few minutes, I'm going to turn into George Washington, and you'll see what I do to get ready for a show. Well, as you can see, I'm in costume, getting there, out of the shorts, into the outfit, checking over some of my notes on some of General Washington's generals who I want to reference in the speech today. It's a different type of speech because we're celebrating the 4th of July, so I'm going to be on a patriotic angle. Well, here we go. The finishing touches. And voila. George Washington, our first president. Well, this is my ride for tonight, Mary Polsa. Hopefully, Mary will be able to get a little of this on our blog. So, yeah, people will see. My chariot awaits. So, the president's going to get in, and we'll head out around and shoot with the people. Yes.
Sounds good. They're waiting for us.
George, you got a fancy wheel, George.
Yes, it is. Magnificent car. Thank you very much. My pleasure, truly my pleasure.
Hello, sir.
And how are you, sir?
Very well.
So good to see you. Oh, the magnificent. I mean, everyone having some good ice cream? I must tell you honestly, I don't think I've ever in my life been escorted by a more sturdy thoroughbred than that vehicle which I have just entered on here. Let me tell you honestly. Take a seat. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. It is truly a pleasure to be here with you on this wonderful weekend. Allow me to introduce myself, George Washington. Yes, known as the founder of our nation, founding father. I'll tell you a little secret before I get started. I had no children of my own, none whatsoever. I did marry Martha and adopt her children from a first marriage, but we never sired any children of our own. That's just one of the little tidbits I'd like to tell you about myself tonight, while I give you a bit of my opinion on what I think is the wonderful thing about this nation, even in these times when people are questioning everything that is going on. Weren't worried about a skirmish with one of their colonies, but what they didn't understand was the emotion that had built up in all of us. We wanted to be part of the British Union, yet we were not being allowed to be that. We were pushed and pushed and pushed. And my dear friend Benjamin Franklin would tell a wonderful story to the Parliament in Great Britain, and I reiterate it here for you today. What was going on in the colonies reminded him of what happened one time with a settler trying to negotiate with a native chief of one of the local tribes. And the chief offered him a seat on the log so they could sit and commune right there in front of a campfire. And the settler sat down and asked the chief for a little more room, so he pushed the chief over a bit. And the chief complied pleasantly. And the settler, seeing that he had more room, suggested the chief move down yet a bit more. And the chief complied yet again. The settler, feeling he was far more intelligent than this savage native, thought he could take advantage of him and enjoy the comforts of the entire log, and asked him to move just a little bit further. And it was at that point the chief said, "My dear friend, if you push me any further, I shall have to do one of two things: fall off the log or fight for my rights." Benjamin warned the nation that we were going to fight for our rights, just like that Indian chief in that story I just told you. Yes?
The cherry tree?
The cherry tree. Magnificent story. We all know the cherry tree. Can't tell a lie, yes? It's completely made up. Completely made up. Yes, it's a lie. It's a lie about don't lie. It was written by a fine, wonderful Mason who wanted to do the first biography on me after I passed away. And it was Parson Weems. And Parson Weems wrote some tremendously fabricated stories on my life. One being me throwing coins over a river that was almost a mile long, so that's an impossibility. The other one was the cherry tree. I never did chop down a cherry tree and tell my father about it. But my mother did boast that a different incident that was true to fact. My mother raised horses, and one of her favorite horses was a bronco that was unbreakable. And as a teenager, I decided to break that bronco. And I kept fighting that bronco and being bucked off and jumping back on. And eventually, it was going to be me or that horse. And so I held tightly onto the mane of that horse and wrapped myself on, and that bronco kept kicking and kicking and kicking, and then kicked the life out of itself. Its heart erupted, and it died on the spot. So I came in and told my mother that her horse was no longer, and I was the cause of its demise. She was angry with me, but she was proud that I was honest enough to tell something that would put me in a bad position.
So he just got it.
So he didn't think that was an interesting enough story, so he made up that as a 6-year-old, I chopped down my dad's tree and admitted to it. But no, the truth I think was more fascinating was relating this to my other. Another reason my mother despised me was I killed her favorite horse. Inherited all her land, killed her horse, and I can truly say she really despised me because when we started taxing the people in Virginia, she said, I'm not going to pay for my horses, and won't you be embarrassed as President of the United States that your mom's not paying her taxes? So I paid her taxes for her. Well, here we are with two happy customers in the audience here. Introduce yourselves.
I am Laura Raines from Blue Island, Illinois, and it's a pleasure to meet Mr. George Washington.
Yeah, and I'm John Teets from the other side.
Ah, he's in my neck of the woods.
Yes.
Yep. So did you enjoy the show tonight?
I sure did, Mr. Washington. It was
Yes.
a wonderful pleasure
Very nice.
learn your history and the truth and the
Very nice.
falseness of our
Founding Fathers?
founding
Yes.
fathers. Thank you.
Yes.
It's way past my bedtime, excuse me.
So you got a few secrets that you hadn't learned in the history books, huh?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yes.
Well, you can verify them, and if you need to, call me. I'll give you where I got them from.
Okay. And I wish you all the luck in the world.
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Hope to see you again in the future.
My
And-
wife wants to see the show. It's Christmas time.
Oh, the Legend of St. Nicholas?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Get on the
Very good.
website, and we have our schedule up there, and it's always going on. There's always public events as well.
That sounds very
There
good.
you go.
I'm Elaine Egdorf, and I'm a big Terry Lynch fan. I follow all over the place. But today, with George Washington, this was terrific. I think you outdid yourself.
Oh.
You're so enthusiastic. You know all the answers. I can't believe the research that goes into every one of your performances.
Laura has something to do with that as well.
But it's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. And Elaine is going to get me eventually to do Hubbard, because she's been putting that bee in my bonnet for about half a year now. So that's going to be right on the tip next.
But you're just wonderful, and every time you just top the time before.
Thank you so much. Now this is coming from a very influential person here.
Well, I'm on the board of directors for the Illinois State Historical Society.
Yes, there you go. See, she's a bigwig.
Speaking of wigs.
Yeah, you like this wig, don't you? Thanks so much, Elaine. Hey, have a good 4th of July. So there you go. That's what it's like to be behind the scenes at an HFK Presents event. It's about 2.5 hours since I started, but as you can see, I'll sit and talk with the crowd afterwards, and I'll stay as long as they need me, as long as I don't have anywhere else to go. It's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of interesting people, and as you can see, they learn a lot of different interesting things along the way. So now, if you don't mind, I'm going to get myself back into some shorts and kick back and relax. So thanks for spending some time with me behind the scenes at HFK Presents. Remember, watch out. History happens where you least expect it. See you next time.